Hi everyone, this is Makai Costin with the Athletes section. Today we have a special guest who plays baseball for Georgia Tech, and I'll let him introduce himself.
I'm Joshua Evans, left-handed pitching outfielder at Georgia Tech, and I'm a freshman.
Nice. And also, I saw that you were from Lawrenceville, Georgia, so it's not too far away from Georgia Tech at all.
No, not at all. It's like 30 minutes. Obviously, traffic in Atlanta, so that can change a little bit, but it's like 30 minutes away.
Nice. Do you go home often?
Yes, almost every weekend. Nice. So I love the home-cooked meals from my mom, so I definitely go there every weekend I can to get that. And it's good to go home, too.
Yeah, for sure, especially when it's like that close. It's nice. So let's get into it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
All right, so I just saw that you had your fall ball already. Has it ended, or are you still going through fall ball season?
No, fall ball is ended now, so we're just in the off season now, getting ready for the spring and conditioning and lifting and things of that sort.
Yeah. So as a freshman, just coming in and kind of getting adapted to college, we're going to talk a little bit about that as well, just your adaptability and the atmosphere of Georgia Tech. But how was the fall season for you? Get acclimated with your teammates and also dealing with schoolwork, but also going to these games. How was that for you?
Fall definitely was a learning transition. That's the best way to say it. Just from the aspect of obviously mental, physical, especially guys being older than you and it being college in the ACC. So coming from high school, if you're more talented, you kind of stick out. Being here, everyone knows how to play. So it's just that extra edge you have to learn. I felt I had to learn as well. And just after my first outing, or my second, I would say, I progressively got better. I got more comfortable and I started seeing better results. So I feel like over the course, I got a lot better for my fall evaluation. But at first, it definitely was eye-opening. I mean, the game was a lot faster, just learning certain things. So that's my whole overall.
Wow. Yeah, that I bet, especially like just coming in. And you're already coming in with other people, like you said, from different levels and different skill sets and ages, and trying to like kind of fill each other out and get that camaraderie on the team. And to go out there and already start playing these games, like, okay, all right, I see how you are under pressure. I see how you are in this level. So it's definitely something like a learning adjustment. But I get you ready for spring, so that's the good thing about it.
Right.
Nice. So tell me about, I want to talk about your journey to Georgia Tech. Touching that a little bit. But first, I want to kind of like learn about your experience of baseball in general. You started at age 3, did I say right?
Nice. 3.
So talk about that and how that kind of struck you as something that you wanted to pursue in college.
Okay, so I started at age 3. My dad had me playing at age 3. Obviously, I'm real young, so I'm just hitting the ball, running around the field, just having fun. Really think about it too much, but. I also played football as well. So at the age of 7, I played all the way up to my senior year. So I was kind of, juggling both. The game of baseball and obviously my talent and everything else started coming to play. And I started really taking it serious, I would say, like my sophomore year of high school. And I was like, okay, I can really do something with this. And my dad sees something in me. So he just went to training on it and, put more of my attention in, into baseball. And so that's kind of how that went. But my sophomore year, that's when I really started taking it serious and started getting some notice. But yeah. I would say from 7, I was juggling, baseball and football, but I started at an early age.
Nice. And when it came to kind of choosing the one that you knew you would stick with, was it kind of hard to make that decision? And do you still sometimes go back and miss football? Or do you think that, no, this is the right decision? I'm glad I did football, but this translated well with my baseball journey.
It definitely was the right decision. I wouldn't say it was easy. At times I do kind of think about that. Obviously, Georgia Tech is doing very well. So when I go to the games, we beat teams like Miami, and I'm just looking out there, when the crowd erupts off of certain big plays, I play quarterback. So even certain moments like that, it's like, man, I get that feeling again, but I don't know. I definitely make the right decision for longevity. I know for sure. But yeah, I mean, every once in a while when I go to games, I think about it as well too.
Yeah, it's like it never leaves, but it's like you still have that feeling that I know I made the right choice. Like I love it. I still have that love for it, but I'm glad I'm where I am right now. So that's good.
Right.
And you're right. Georgia Tech is doing really well right now. Y'all are, I graduated from University of Georgia and y'all are playing us for our last game. I don't know what to
do. For sure. It's going to be a good game. I think it really will be a good game. So I'm excited to see what's going to happen.
Are you going? I think it's going to be are you going to Athens to watch it or?
I probably will go. Wherever it's at, I'll go. I mean, Athens shouldn't be that far anyway, so I'll definitely be there.
Yeah, that'd be
Yeah.
fun. We say rec the tech, so we'll see.
Right. Yeah, we gonna
We will
see.
see. So tell me about your journey to Georgia Tech. What kind of led to your decisions? Well, I saw that you got recruited, well, already started getting like D1 offers when you were 16. So tell me
Mm.
about that experience, especially getting it so young. It's something that a lot of people could only dream about, especially when they're already like playing to get to that level. Was it overwhelming at first for you, or how did your whole process go through with reaching out to coaches or coaches reaching out to you and then you finally settling down on Georgia Tech?
So for me, it's kind of ironic because my first offer was actually from Georgia.
Mm.
So when I had that, it kind of took me back because it was kind of it was surprising. Obviously, living in the state of Georgia, but also too, just like wow, like you see those guys on the television. So it can be a lot when you put a lot on yourself. I feel like for my whole process as well for the recruiting, I took it very slow. Like I didn't want to hop on anything for the name or whatever the case may have been. I wanted to make sure the relationship was right. I want to make sure the morals was right, that I could fit in the program and what they needed. And I definitely feel like when I committed to Georgia Tech, that was just everything that I needed, and it checked off all those boxes. So I feel like as for me, it wasn't as stressful because like I talked to my parents about it. They kept me calm and kept me grounded, through the whole process. But it can be for sure when especially at a younger age and just have, all your thoughts about where you want to go and everything like that.
Yeah, I agree. What were some things, I guess, top three things you were looking for when choosing your college? And also, what's one key piece of advice that your parents gave you that stuck with you?
I think things that stand out for me is definitely having a relationship with those coaches, having a relationship, with the team and gelling with the guys. I definitely believe having certain morals and not just as a player, but, further than that as a person. I feel like those things definitely stand out to me. And I'm a big family guy. So being accessible towards home, that played a factor for me. I didn't really want to go too far on the West Coast. I was kind of wanted to be in the Southeast. So those factors definitely stuck out to me. And as far as my family, that was something they relayed to me as well, being able to go home on the weekends and having that family time for the holidays or for my birthday or even just on a simple weekend I may need it. Like having that at home and be able to talk to them, it's definitely, it lifts my spirit. So that was definitely good for me. That was kind of the main thing that was going through my mind as making the decision.
Yeah, that's true. Like you kind of mentioned, like you go home on a weekend to get your mom's home cooked meal. Like that's something that not everybody's able
Right,
to get when they're further away, and it's like it's a nice asset to have. Might as well
right.
utilize it, and I'm sure she misses you and like seeing
Mm-hmm.
you around all the time too. So that's nice.
Of course.
So when it comes to finding your independence away from home, how was that transition for you from going from high school to college? Even though you're closer to home, you're still on your own. So were you able to kind of adapt pretty
Mm-hmm.
well and easily, or how was that transition for you?
So it was kind of tough at first, honestly, because it was at a point at one time, I think my senior high school, I was just like, man, I can't wait to get away. And then when I finally got away, it was like, dang, like certain things I wish, I wouldn't have rushed so much. So at first, it kind of hit me as a big wave because so many things were thrown at me from baseball to school and the transition of moving and everything like that. So I would say my first 2 months was kind of tough in terms of that fact of just trying to, really, really settle in terms of like, where do I fit at and everything like that and everything that has in motion. But as I kept going, things started getting easier. I started, finding my routine, and everything I needed to do, the ins and outs. So it became a lot easier. But my first 2 months was definitely like, kind of a step back, like, whoa, I need to kind of get myself together in that sense.
Mm, yeah, that's fair. It's like, just adapting and kind of learning that whole other
Mm-hmm.
world of, because you're on your own. Like you're not out in the world, but you are
Yeah,
on your own now. It's like, okay, I have to change my
nah,
mindset,
true.
a whole mental change and shift. So that's very fair.
Mm-hmm.
How is the college life there in Georgia Tech? Is it pretty lively, or just the atmosphere in college life during game days, but then also on a normal day basis for you?
Right now, I feel like I'm at the peak of Georgia Tech right now, just in terms of just the environment. Like, obviously, football is doing well, so that kind of sets the standard. Even, certain functions and certain events they may have here at Georgia Tech, I feel like it's just that much more when the community is together and everyone's doing well. So I can speak for that in that aspect. But then, too, it's Georgia Tech, like I said already. So that aspect of just education, that kind of like pulls it up to a certain standard of being your best version in the classroom. So even talking to people in my classroom who are very smart and intelligent and certain things I don't even know myself. It's kind of like intriguing. Like, okay, wow, like, I didn't even know that from
Mhm.
before. Just making connections in that area too. So it's kind of the best of both worlds. You're in Atlanta, but then you have smart people that have things going for themselves. So that's the best way to put it.
Yeah, I agree. Georgia Tech doesn't play like those. You got to open those books.
No, fact.
You're in those books. So
At
I know the
all.
athletes are definitely feeling it as well, but it's a good thing because it's kind of just challenging you and making you better, but
Hmm.
on and off the field or court. So that's really good. Did you? What are you studying? What's your major?
So okay, it was
Okay.
econ. Um, I guess the best way to say it, I want to say struggling, but I've been challenged a little bit in econ. So I've decided to switch to
Oh, okay.
business. So I'm doing business now. But yeah, that's what I'm gonna be doing now. I'm in the transition of that right now, trying to figure out everything in terms of business and trying to make that transition. But that's what I'll be doing for the next semester once I get that squared away.
Yeah, no, that's good. I think business is nice too because it's like it covers a variety of fields that you can tap into. So it's not just bringing you down to
Right.
like one specific element. You kind of like, okay, I like
Mm-hmm.
this, I like that, and then kind of like have your
Mm-hmm.
mindset shift from that. So that's good.
Mm-hmm.
So I also saw that a few months ago you posted a video on YouTube and you also have a TikTok and you do different interviews with your teammates and have different story times and things that you talk about for baseball. So tell me a little bit about how that came about and what you're planning to do with that.
I'm an outgoing guy. If you know me, like all my teammates know that. So, um, I just like blending with the team and just in different ways, whether that be with social media, talking to them. I feel like I bring that aspect of the team of bringing life to the team. So whether I'm in the outfield and I'm just chopping it up with one of my guys in center field, Parker or Drew Burris, and we're just chopping it up and just getting the feel or even just dancing to the music. I'm just always that type of guy, just to live freely. So I feel like even with the social media aspect, bringing that into play, it's just one of those things where it brings all the guys together. We're all laughing, we're all smiling. So I don't I can't say I really see a giant future in it right now. It's just one of those things that I'm just using to have fun with. So that's the best way to put it.
Yeah, I like that. Like, just have fun with it. You never know who. Like, I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
think I probably did find you on TikTok, and I was like, let me reach out to him. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
like that's how I find a lot of my athletes that I talk to, whether it's Instagram or TikTok, because I feel like it kind of gives them a space to be themselves, like you said, be outgoing,
Right.
and kind of you get a feel for their personality a little bit, so you can kind of see, okay, this person's pretty talkative, this person's pretty, outgoing, fun. So let me, just kind of chat it up with them and see what they're about, pick their brain a little bit. And I think that it really does
Mm-hmm.
reflect you a lot. So that's really good and that's fun.
Yeah, definitely.
So speaking of story times, do you have a story time that you want to share, whether it is before you got to college, during college, baseball related or not? What's a good story time that you feel like is one for the books?
One for the books. I'm trying to think. I guess the most recent one I could really think about is the
Mm-hmm.
conditioning here at Georgia Tech. So we had it last week. We have it again tomorrow. So our second wave will be a little bit harder, but going into it, like I said already, I play football, so I always thought for the conditioning part, it's pretty easy. Like I can handle it. It won't be anything too much. At the most, like obviously I'll be out of breath, but I didn't really think too much of it. So mind you, it's last week. It's approaching Wednesday. I'm like, okay, here I go. I didn't really eat too much in the morning. It was already we had to be there at 6 a.m. So like I'm already waking up at 5. I didn't really go to sleep last night because I just thought, it was a breeze. So I get there or whatever. We started off light. We just did our warm ups and dynamics, and then we go straight into like I don't really know how to explain it. It was like these holds like for our ass, but it's like I can't really explain it. It was like a weird movement we was doing, and we was just holding like for this certain period of time, and we just kept doing it, and I was like, okay, it's getting a little hard. And then we started going to competition. We started doing sleds. We started doing different events and competition, and then it got towards the end. So I was kind of getting gas, and then when it got towards the end, we was doing like suicides, like on like the inside facility for football. So like we're going, sideline to
Mm-hmm.
sideline, and the first one was okay. I'm like, all right, man, I'm good. I made the time. But then they said, oh, somebody didn't touch the line, so we had to go again.
Oh.
And I was like, oh man. So I had to hurry up. I had to like catch my breath. I went straight again, and then I took my little break, and then we had like 3 or 4 more after that. And so by that point, I was like weak in the knees. Like I'm like, what? So that definitely hit me. I guess you can call that a story time in the sense. I have it again tomorrow, so I would definitely prepare myself a little bit more. But that was definitely eye opening. I was like, man, it's not sweet as I thought it was gonna be.
That is funny, especially the part where he was like, someone touched a line, you had to do it.
Yeah, no,
Oh,
no.
man.
I was like, I thought everybody said the line,
Oh
but
my
yeah, that
goodness.
was.
I hate that. That's hilarious. But like you said, it's one for the books, and at least you know for tomorrow you'll be good to go.
Mhm.
But wow,
Right.
that is by the time this episode comes out, it'll be like December, so it would have been past. But yeah, tomorrow,
Mhm.
our time, you're doing it again. Wow.
Yes, ma'am.
How many of those do you guys have to do per season?
I think we have a couple more. I'm not really sure. I know we have one tomorrow. We did one last week. We have Thanksgiving coming up, so it's kind of going to be. I'm trying to figure out how the rest of the schedule is going to look, but I know we're lifting right now 4 times a week. But as far as the conditioning
Hmm.
part, I'm not really sure how this is going to work. But we do run in the morning before every
Okay.
lift. So this on Wednesday, these 2 sessions that we just had, I guess you can call it like I don't really know what you would call it, but it's kind of higher, like more intense than
Oh,
regular
it gets
conditioning, I guess you
easier as
say.
time goes on.
So
Okay,
right, right.
nice. Well, that's good. But that was funny. So
I wish I could give you a better story time. I got to think of something else
no, that
though.
was good. If there's any more stories you have that you want to add in, that's fine. But
Mm.
that was actually a good story time. Are you gonna continue to do like a series of story times on your TikTok?
Uh, I got to see. I probably will as things come up. Maybe like on my outing
Yeah.
or I don't know. Crazy stuff happens out here all the time, so it just
Yeah, no,
depends.
that's fair.
I guess I probably
That's
will.
fair. I love that. So, where besides doing TikToks, what are some things that you like to do for fun to kind of keep your mind away a little bit from baseball and kind of just give you time to relax and rest your mentals a little bit?
I definitely play the game. I play a video game. So from MLB the Show to college
Okay.
football to Fortnite with my guys, just I play the game. That kind of just talking to them because they're all at different spots. Even from high school. So we have a guy in Chicago
Mm,
and Charlotte and Florida, where the case may be. So just getting on the game and all of us getting together and just talking to the party about what we're going through and stuff while playing the game. That kind of puts my mind at peace a little bit.
yeah.
Um, Obviously, reading puts my mind at peace as well. Reading the Bible, so that's definitely something that gives me meditation that aspect. But in terms of like a hobby or something fun, I would say playing a video game for sure on my free time.
Nice, nice. What verse you mentioned reading the Bible? What verse do you stand on to like go through tough times or just go through life in general?
Mhm. So it's crazy that you said that. I actually have it on my wrist right here. I hope I can show y'all, but it's Joshua one
Okay.
nine. Be strong and courageous. That's one of those. It's just one of those things that was always told to me, even as I growing up and even when I was young, my mom just always told me that and just something I truly stand by. And even when I go through tough times, just having that thing like, okay, this is your name, this is what you're meant for. God wouldn't put you anything that you can't
Mm,
handle. And it kind of brings me back, confidence in that area. So I just wear that bracelet as a reminder.
yeah, I like that.
This morning.
My brother, he's a freshman at Georgia right now. He's on the track team. Um, and he had a
Mm-hmm.
habit of also like different scriptures that he wanted to stand on or different verses. He would like have them on a band on his arm and too, just kind of like keep that in mind or
Mm-hmm.
like write him down somewhere. And I think it's important, like you said, like God won't put you in any situation that you can't handle. Like if you're thinking like, God, why are you doing this to me? Like, no, he's
Mm-hmm.
doing this for you. This is helps you
Right.
grow. Something that's gonna make you a better person. And this is not a surprise for him. Like he already knew this was gonna happen, and you just have to rely on
Mm-hmm.
him to get you through it. So that's a really good reminder for sure.
Right. And definitely trust him too. That's one of
Mm.
those things, even when you don't understand, like
Ooh,
he's gonna put you certain things. I know even me, like the timing or everything. So just I don't understand what you're doing, but later you will. So this is one of those things with faith too.
exactly. And my favorite verse is Proverbs 3:5-6, and it just trust in the
Mm-hmm.
Lord with all your heart. Don't lean on your own understanding. Um,
Understand it, and all your ways submit to Him. He'll make your path
Amen.
straight.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I love that verse.
Mm-hmm.
It
Yes,
used to
ma'am.
be my favorite verse used to be Habakkuk 2:2, just kind of writing down your vision and making it plain. But I think
Mm-hmm.
because there's so many like levels in my life that I had to go through, so many things I had to like wait for, just like trust God for because I have so many plans and goals that I'm like, okay, I can't wait to do this. I'm gonna have this all planned out. And when
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't go that way,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, okay, like what am I gonna do now? But just knowing that you have someone that you can rely on and trust in who's never gonna let you down because he has a bigger plan, like more than you can even imagine, is just really calming and peace. Like just brings peace to my mind just knowing that. So that's why I like to keep that verse
Right.
in the back of my mind or in the front of my mind. But always trying to stay reminded of it for sure.
Hmm.
What was an aspect or time in your life that you had to really trust in God's timing? You think that kind of like outweighed others?
Um, I feel like first that come to mind is just my recruitment
Mm-hmm.
process. I was committed to Georgia for a minute, so I think I committed November of my junior
Mm-hmm.
year, and then coming around all the way till I want to say not until that following year. So I think actually November that next year I decommitted. So during that time, it definitely was hectic because it was like it was going into my senior year. So I'm like, man, I need to find a school. Like I want to get
Right.
settled. Like, people have already got ahead of the recruitment process and, money situation, whatever the case may have been. So I'm kind of like, wow, like if I decommit right now, am I going to have an opportunity to go somewhere I feel like I can be comfortable at and, provide and, be an
Right.
impact on the team, essentially. So I was just like, in terms of trusting his timing, that was one of those things where I had to really like pray about it, make a wise decision in those areas because it's one of those decisions where it can take your path one way
Mm-hmm.
or other. So I feel like definitely during my recruitment process during that time was one of those things I had to pray about and trust his timing on.
Yeah, that's definitely something that can be very stressful and very, I don't know, just mind-boggling when you're trying to figure things out. You want things to go a certain way, but there's a lot of unknowns in there. So it's like, okay, God, I'm trusting
Mm-hmm.
you. Like, you got to help me through this, and
Mm-hmm.
he
Yeah.
never fails. Every time, like he's always gonna fulfill his promises. So that's good to keep in mind. What So what are the pressures now? You're a pitcher, so what are some pressures that you've gone through and that are out there for pitchers coming in to college, and how does that affect your mental or mentality?
Um, Pressures. I would say especially coming to college, because I always kind of threw hard. So like coming to college, it was one of those things where it's like, okay, you have to know how to
Mm.
pitch. You can't just go out there and
Right.
pitch. So I feel like finding my off speed, finding, where in the zone can I put it on certain guys, having a strong mentality in terms of, okay, like this batter, what can I throw and what can I
Mm.
not throw? And just being effective in that area. I feel like those are definitely those things I had to get maturity in certain areas. That was definitely big for me, just learning that. I mean, from high school, I can just really blow up by guys 2-0, but just really finding out how to pitch in certain
Right.
areas mentally, yeah, that definitely challenged me in the beginning until I kind of figured it out.
Yeah, that's good. What are the differences? Because I see a lot of right-handed pitchers when I watch baseball, but as a left-handed
Mhm.
pitcher, what are some differences that you have to learn and kind of like take after as opposed to someone who's just a right-handed pitcher?
I would say generally, like left-handed pitchers, they have more run on the
Mhm.
ball. Like I know I do, and like typically left-handed pitchers do. That's why they're harder to hit. So I would say for me, having that run, I have to like in catch play really take it serious because I have to know how my ball moves. So as a right-handed pitcher, depending on who you are, it may be more flat as opposed to a left-handed pitcher, like in certain movements, if that makes sense. So I think for me, really knowing what my pitch does, so I know when to throw it and how to throw it, is kind of really important for me because I can either throw it in the wrong spot and obviously get taken yard or hit the guy, whatever the case may be. So I feel like that's one of the biggest differences I can think of. I know obviously left-handed, right-handed pitchers as far as like pickoff moves can be very different. Like a runner on first, as a left-handed pitcher, I have more of the advantage than a right-handed pitcher because I can
True.
see the
Yeah.
runner. So I can do certain moves that a right-handed pitcher can't really do. So holding him on first base for me will be a little bit more easier as opposed to a right-handed pitcher. So those are
Um,
just kind of small things in that area.
yeah. Wow. That's really neat. I didn't think about that, especially like you said, when a runner goes on first, like how easy it can be a little bit more for you to catch him. So, wow.
Right, having it
That's
right.
interesting. Wow. What pitches do you rely on the most? Is it like your fastball or curveball? What pitches do you rely on the most? And then ones that you feel like you want to improve more on?
It's a good question. So I say rely on the most would be my
Hmm.
changeup. because that gets me out of bad situations. I would say I throw my fastball, 14 fastball, generally more, but I rely on my changeup more. Like if I'm in a bad count, like 2-0, 3-1, throwing my changeup can help me get that ground ball to get out of the inning. Like, ooh, I'm glad I got
Right.
out of that. As opposed to, that pitch I need to work on, which would be, I would say right now is my slider. I need it to be my knockout pitch because I can get to those 0-2 counts, but getting that final strike and getting that K, that's something important I need to work on. So my slider, it's been kind of shaky in terms of command and finding how I need to be more consistent with it. So I would say definitely this offseason is something I want to work on as far as my slider to get my fourth pitch, and that would put me where I want to
Okay.
be.
There we go. Well, at least that's a good thing that you're at least recognizing what you want to work on and kind of developing a plan on how
Right.
to get there. So that way, when spring season comes, like you're able to make adjustments and kind of learn from there. So
Mhm.
that's good. Are you also trying to go into the MLB at some point?
Yes, ma'am. I am for sure. Definitely about. I'll say my junior year I should be eligible.
Okay.
So that's definitely something that's on the checklist for sure. Yes,
Nice.
ma'am.
Do you have like a top three or top five favorite teams that you want to be interested in or want to be interested in you?
Honestly, I can't even say. I feel like that's just one of those things where whatever team can take that chance on me, I'm really satisfied with any team. For real. Honestly, that's just it's a dream come true to even make it
That's
there.
true.
So I mean, obviously the Atlanta Braves will be high on our list because I live here and that's just that's kind of given. But either than that, any
Yeah.
team for real.
That's
Yes,
fair.
ma'am.
That's good. I'm looking forward to seeing you make it to the MLB very soon.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So my last question that I ask all athletes towards the end of this podcast episode is what advice would you give an athlete who's going through or will be going through what you've been through throughout your journey?
It's a good question. What advice would I give? I guess the best advice is don't put too much on yourself. If you train and you put the preparation in and you work and outwork, that person next to you, at that point, it's like, okay, just do what I've been training for. I feel like a lot of times, especially from that transition to high school to college, you can put more pressure on yourself, like, oh, I got to do this, or I'm going to get cut, or I
Mm,
got to do this so I can be a big name. That kind of gets your head spinning. I know for me, even seeing certain guys in college, like they have these certain names and they have all these accolades and certain things, and it's like, hold on, like just waste your time, wait till your time. So it's kind of one of those things where it's like you have to stay on your
mm.
path, pretty much. Don't try to look at anybody else. You got to stay on your path, and I feel like for me that was one of the biggest things. I have to learn. And I'm still learning. So yes, ma'am.
Wow. Yeah. No, I'm glad you said that. That actually, yeah, it's an ongoing lesson. I feel like on any age, any stage of life, or any situation, like just stay your own path, run your own race because, everybody has their own
Mm-hmm.
thing going on. Even if it's like to get to the same destination, like everybody has their own way of
Destination.
getting there, and it's kind of
Right.
going back
Right.
to like trusting God's timing. Like He has a plan specifically
Mm-hmm.
designed for you. So if you try to
Right.
go out of that and do what someone else is doing to get to that same destination, it might not work for you. So that's so true, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad you brought that up. That's a
Mm-hmm.
daily reminder for myself with different goals that I have. Just it's nice to have people to aspire and look up to, but also make sure you're not trying to like idolize them or not going into their path because they have their own specific journey. So yeah, that's good too.
I agree.
But yeah, so that is all we have time for today. The time went by really fast.
Okay. No, it actually really did. You said 30 minutes. I was like, okay. But it went by pretty
Really
fast.
fast.
Yeah.
So where can the people
Mhm.
find you on your social medias?
Okay. Instagram will be j.fiber. J.5VERR. It should be the same on TikTok as well and the rest of my social media. So that's pretty much it. And then, oh yeah, TikTok's the same. And then Twitter will be QB1 underscore
Nice.
J5. So
Nice.
that's
I
it.
like how you said Twitter because I refuse to call it X to this day.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm not
I'm
saying
yeah,
that.
it's still Twitter to me. Nice. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I really had a great time, great
Thank you.
conversation.
Yes. I did too. I really appreciate the
You're
opportunity. Thank you.
welcome.